Silver Doctors, live on air. It is Friday, the 7th of February. I'm solo this morning here. I'd like to welcome everybody. Getting a little bit of a late start. We're going to wait and see if Mike can join us today. It is Friday, the 7th of February, and there's a lot to go over. Three main topics. I just want to welcome everybody. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. First of all, if everybody can hear me, can everybody give me a couple thumbs up there in the chat if my audio is sounding okay? Sounding good? Okay, I appreciate that, James. I was debating. I didn't know if I was going to come on solo or not. It's like weird just kind of talking to myself here, but I appreciate the thumbs up. So maybe we'll get a little more interaction. And actually, since Mike has not joined us just yet, phone line. Give me a call. I got the phone line open, and I'll see if I can even figure out how to take a call on this phone. So that'll be fun. So anybody who wants to call in, give me a call. I appreciate everybody tuning in right now. There's a lot of information to go over, but first let me just go ahead and say hi to a few of the people in chat. We got Albert S., we got Rowdy Yankee, we got Butchie Harding, we got Bobby Jones, we got Dragon Matter, we got Glenn, we got Entellus, we got Jason, we got Finance Freak, we got James, we got Corey. Thank you everybody for tuning in. There's a lot that we're going to be talking about today, so I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. But before I do, I just want to throw a question out there to the audience. Because I'm torn on this. What is better? Is it better to just pretend that everything is okay and, that the coronavirus is no big deal? Or should people be warning the public about this? Because there's going to be ramifications to the economy. There's going to be ramifications to the markets. There's going to be ramifications for public health in general. And I want to talk about this specifically. So let's come on in here and start with a bunch of web pages that I got all queued up for everybody. So let's see what we can do here. All right. Here's just a quick update. We've got 31,000 confirmed cases, 31,500 from the Johns Hopkins tracker here. The CDC has still not updated their tracker. They update this on Fridays. They updated it on Wednesday before we went live. However, they have not updated it yet today. They're still going off of February 5th's data. So that's just to see where things stand right now. But here's the big news. And I've got three main topics that I want to talk about tonight. This afternoon, and the first one is just going to be the CDC and how they have come out with their shipping of the diagnostic test kits. Hey, yay, that's good news, right? That's what everybody thinks. But it's not really good news once we dig into the numbers, because I'm going to show it here. Let's see. Let's read along here. We've got initially, so the CDC has finally come up with their tests. What's been going on initially is that every public health department in the United States has to send in the test sample kits to the CDC, and only the CDC can do the tests. Well, just yesterday, Thursday, the CDC is now finally sending these test kits out. This is according to their press release. So I just want to bring up a couple points here, because there's some points here that are very interesting. And since I'm flying solo today, what we can do is I'll just go over these three main topics that I want to hit, and then address questions in the chat. And certainly if anybody wants to call in, you can just stop me and I'll see what happens when I answer this phone. So that'll be quite fun to do. So looking at this right here, this is what I want to highlight on. Initially, about 200 test kits will be distributed to the U.S. domestic laboratories, and a similar amount will be distributed to select international laboratories. Each test kit can test approximately 700 to 800 specimens. Now, I've done the math on this. Additional test kits will be produced and made available for ordering sometime in the future, but it's only authorized during the duration of the declaration of the public health emergency. Here's the important issue. Here's the thing to realize. 200 test kits will be distributed to U.S. domestic laboratories. Each test kit can test approximately 700 to 800 specimens. I've done the math on this, and, first of all, let's think about this. We've got 200 test kits in the United States, because 200 of them are going overseas. So much for America first, right? There's only 400 test kits, but we're only getting 200 of them here in the U.S. But of those 200 test kits, let's say 750, right, can be tested. 750 specimens. That comes out to 150,000 specimens that can be tested. So the CDC is shipping out, starting now, 200 test kits, and in total they can test 150,000 specimens. Here's the question that I have. What happens if they have to test somebody twice? Then that number goes down. What happens if a couple of the tests are defective for some reason? Maybe the tube is crushed, the vial is crushed or something. Well, the number of possible tests that they can do goes down. What happens if they need to train somebody on it because they've never seen this before and they make a mistake somehow, or some sort of user error, or they forgot to put the right sticker on it? Well, then the number of actual tests that are available in the United States goes down. Why does it matter? Here's why it matters. It matters because the United States has a population of approximately 327 million. So what the CDC is telling us on this webpage is that they're able to test 150,000 specimens in the United States out of a population of 327 million. I crunched the numbers, and what that works to is the United States can right now test 0.05% of the population. That's it. They can test 0.05% of the population with what we have available. Now, you know, as many people know, we've been talking about this since January 20th. And, I used to work on the hotline, the National HIV and STD hotline, under contract for the CDC. And I also used to work on the National Immunization Hotline on contract under the National Institutes of Health. We've been talking about this since the 20th. This has been an ongoing thing. Right now, the CDC can test 150,000 specimens. When I worked at HIV, when I worked on the HIV hotline, I was wondering, well, how many people have HIV? And then it got me thinking, if the CDC is only prepared to test 150,000 specimens, well, what is that comparable to? Granted, it's not apples to apples because HIV has been around quite a long time. But right now, the CDC is saying that in the United States, 1.1 million people had HIV in 2016. 1.1 million people in the United States are HIV positive in the United States in 2016. What does that mean? That means that 0.33% of the population has HIV. So here's why I say that the United States is not prepared, and here's why I put that in the title today. If the CDC is prepared to test in their press release that they're giving us 150,000 specimens, or 0.05% of the population, how's that even going to put a dent into what might be coming? And what might be coming? Well, look at this. 400 million people are on lockdown in China. 400 million people are on lockdown in China, and we have enough testing to test 150,000 specimens in the United States. This is not good either way around. Here's some other interesting things. This is also about the criteria to test, because not everybody who is showing symptoms is going to test, right? So basically, it works like this: if you have a fever and are showing signs of lower respiratory illness, and you've been in close contact with somebody who's been confirmed to have coronavirus, then you'll be tested. If you have the fever and a lower respiratory illness, and you've been to Hubei province, so that's the province where the city of Wuhan is located, within the 14 days of the onset of symptoms. So that's one of the criteria to test. Then the other criteria to test is if you're showing fever and other signs and symptoms of lower respiratory illness, and you require hospitalization, and you've been anywhere in mainland China in the last 14 days from the onset of symptoms. So those are the only criteria that a person would even get tested for it. And people are talking in the chat right now, about, these cruise ships. And I haven't been following this, but apparently this morning a cruise ship was pulling up in New Jersey and it's under quarantine. I'd like to learn a little bit more about that. But this is something that has the possibility to blow way out of control very fast. And, what I've been saying all along is that the United States is behind the curve on this, that we've been behind the curve on this, and this is looking like it's going to be too little too late. So that's just the first topic, right? The CDC is given the idea that everything is kind of, under control. Everything is, hey, we're sending out the test kit samples. It's all good. Don't worry about it. We got it under control. they have enough test kits to test 0.05% of the entire U.S. population. Can you put that number in the chat or put it on top of this? Look at that. I got the wrong screen up. I apologize about that. Yes, I can put it up. Let me see here. There's that number right there. Give us a call. Give me a call. I'm running solo today. It's 567-336-0844. And I'd actually like somebody to give me a call today because since I'm flying solo, it would be nice to have somebody else to talk to. So that'd be good. So let's see here. A couple other highlights. If you have a specific question and you're joining us in the chat today, do @Silver Doctors and it'll stand out. It'll highlight Silver Doctors, so I'll be able to see that. Because there's a couple comments directed towards us. Did Magic Johnson get the cure for HIV? There's no cure. It's arguable whether possibly 2 people in the world have been cured because they have an undetectable viral load, right? I haven't been following this since I worked under contract for the CDC 20 years ago, right? So I'm not up to date on the most recent and especially within the last 10 years of HIV treatment. But as far, it's not curable. It's a chronic disease, right? So that's a good question there. Low blood pressure. We got Pabar. Okay, that was the one putting the phone number. So yeah, give me a call. I got my phone up here. We're going to hold it up to the microphone and see if we can work something out. How long does it take to manufacture more test kits? Well, that's according to the CDC. They're telling us, and this is just from yesterday. So this is from Thursday, February 6th. Oops, I'm on the wrong screen here. There we go. So this is just from Thursday, and I'm getting a call, so hold on. Let me see if I can get this here. Hello, caller. This is Silver Doctors Live. You're on the air. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi there. This is Pabar, Seattle. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, Pabar. How you doing today?
I'm all right there. So, just 2 quick questions. I don't know if it's off topic or whatnot, but what is your opinion on the silver ratio going up? I think it's almost at 90. I think it's hovering around somewhere in the high 80s or whatnot. I think it's kind of, I don't know if it's, I do know it's manipulated, as you guys have been pointing out for pretty much the past year and other commentators. But what is your opinion on that? And also, I do have another question related to lands. Back in the old days, here in the United States, we used to have land patents during the 17 and 1800s, and that has since gone away. And typically when you buy land or have property, you have to pay property taxes. But back in the day, when you used to have the land patents here in the United States, you didn't have to pay property taxes so long as you had the land patent or allodial title. Do you think there'll be a time again when we'll come back to that?
Okay, so were those your only questions? So I'm going to go ahead and, we can have a discussion. Let's just have a discussion here. So just to hold on while I'm talking. I am not the expert on real estate. I have bought 3 houses, in my life. I've never really bought land in and of itself. And just as far as the real estate goes, I'm not really good on that. So, that's anybody's guess, and I just wouldn't be qualified to comment on it. I wish I could tell you more, Pabar, but I'm just not too familiar with that aspect. But I do want to talk about the gold to silver ratio for a second. Does that sound good?
That's fine.
Okay. What I think's going on here is I think that the cartel is trying to make silver look just like an industrial commodity. And the way we've seen copper and let me pull up some more charts here. The way we've seen copper and oil plummet on the charts, right below me. Let's see here. Okay, so right here in this, right below me, there's the crude oil price. I see we're looking at $50 right now. We've been under $50. So I think they're making silver look like an industrial commodity right now. And they're trying to send the signal that copper's plunging, oil's plunging. There's no need to have silver because we're in an industrial recession here. But, I think that the problem that they're having, and we're not seeing much downside under 1750, is because, people are still bidding for gold because of all this uncertainty. So it's hard to make silver look industrial when there's all this uncertainty and people moving into gold. So I think that, that's why the ratio has shot up above 90 again. But I don't think that it's going to last for long. And this is actually awesome because, the way I talk about it, if it's at 90 and the ratio goes down to 45, then that's, if you're buying 90 ounces of silver right now with 1 ounce of gold, then that's 2 ounces of gold at the end of the cycle. But, if the ratio goes down to 33, then that's, if it goes up to 100 even more, then that's 3 ounces of gold. Well, 2 free ounces of gold at the end of the cycle. However, I really don't think that there's much more upside in the ratio from here, because I think silver's going to start catching up and outperforming gold here pretty soon. Thoughts on that, Pabar?
And speaking of which, I do recall, since you have the chart up, I think there was 3 times in at least U.S. Recorded history as far as the ratio that it pretty much shot up from where it is now as far as the 80, whatever it is, to 1 ratio, all the way up to pretty much 20 to 1. I believe that happened in the 80s. I think sometime in 2011. I don't have the chart up. And I believe in earlier time, too. I can't recall if it's 20s or 30s. Mm-hmm. Do you think that can happen where it will just shoot up within a year or two from where it is now at 80-something to all the way up to 20?
Yeah, I definitely think it can start moving like that. Absolutely. I can't remember where it peaked out, where it bottomed out when silver went on the run in 2011. I want to say the historical average is somewhere between 30 and 50, and 50 is the number that's thrown out there more often than not. Maybe someone in the chat can chime in and give some more specific information about there. But yeah, I am definitely taking advantage of the gold to silver ratio arbitrage. And for anybody who does not know what that is definitely something to pay attention to, because if you have an ounce of gold, what that means is if you convert that ounce of gold right now into 90 ounces of silver, at the very end of the cycle, you can get a free ounce of gold if it goes to 45. But I appreciate you calling in, Pabar, and joining me today, because I'm kind of lonely without my co-host, Mike, so you're making the show interesting there.
So I just have one last thing to say, and I don't know if you want to answer it off there, but is there any way possible that you can discuss in the chat about how many uses there are for silver? Because I know oil is our most used and most versatile commodity, but I'm pretty sure silver is more than likely second or at least third as far as varied uses. So I'm going to hang up, so I don't know if you want to be able to talk for that for maybe a minute or two while off air, but I do appreciate you picking up and spending this time to have a discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I appreciate it, Pabar, and I will get it off the air, and thanks for calling in.
Alrighty.
All right, thanks. Bye. Yeah, silver uses, there are tons of uses for silver. That's a good question. First and foremost, I look at silver as money. For thousands of years it has been. And what we're seeing now is more even advanced developments with the uses of silver, especially when it comes to biomedicine, and especially when it comes to high technology. And it's actually all the precious metals for that, right? Computer circuitry, right? Circuit boards, processors, right? Computer components, smartphone components, all of these require silver. So silver is in high demand in high-tech electronics that we use. And I can't tell you how many devices I have in my house. I probably have 20 different devices that are connected between Wi-Fi and the Ethernet in my house. That, because people say, well, silver used to be used in photography, but now nobody really takes pictures anymore in the old kind of way because it's all digital and it's all just saved on your smartphone. But, where that demand has fallen, the demand for other uses of silver in electronics has picked up. Furthermore, cars, and also not just cars, but cars and solar panels, right? Those are also big time uses for silver. But one thing that's interesting is going to be the medical use for silver. And I think that's going to be interesting, especially in light with this Wuhan Coronavirus, because of the fact that it's been so much in the news, dominating for the last couple weeks. And it's really only going to get worse from here. So it's going to become even more of a thing. And it's interesting because, it could get people to find hope again in silver. I see some people calling in, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. Except let me, at the meantime, go ahead and shift into another couple topics here. Let me see here. And actually, and it looks like I got Mike with me now, and he's going to come join here in a second. So let me go ahead and send him this link. This is great. This is all unscripted, and this is live, so this is going to be good. We'll see if it works here. And we'll see if we can get Mike on. And let's see here. We'll see if he can come join us in a second. And actually, and it looks like I got Mike with me now, and he's going to come join here in a second, so let me go ahead and send him this link. Okay, anyway, I don't want to stall too much. I want to make sure that everybody can hear me. Everybody can hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, we're going to move on to the next topic, and I'm trying to see if I can hear Mike here, although I can't hear Mike here. Okay, at any rate, let's keep moving on here. Okay, the next topic that I want to bring up, and Mike, I'm having trouble with the audio, so I'm having trouble getting you on. I'm not exactly sure what it is that I need to do. But at any rate, we'll work that out probably for the next show because I got an echo in my ear and I can't figure out how to iron out that kink. Here's the next topic that I want to talk about. Steve Mnuchin says we won't know the economic impacts of the Wuhan coronavirus for 2 weeks. He said this yesterday, Thursday morning. He said this, and some of the things he said were, we're taking a careful approach to the virus, and we're working with China. We won't know the economic impact of the virus for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, we can model how the virus spreads. I mean, we've been talking about this for several weeks now, so I don't know why we need 2 more weeks to understand what the economic impacts are. At this point, so this is what he said, at this point we haven't seen any big issues in regards to the supply chain. What is he talking about? We haven't seen any big issues in regards to the supply chain. So this is topic 2 that I want to bring up, and this is something that we need to discuss right here. So this is why I posed that question at the beginning. What is better, to warn the public or to just play it off like it's no big deal and don't worry about it, we got everything under control? Yesterday morning, Steve Mnuchin said, we don't see any issues in the supply chain. Okay, Mr. Treasury Secretary, here's an article from CNBC from Tuesday, and the title is called Coronavirus Damages China's Auto Industry as Outbreak Worsens. The IHS market expects a loss of 350,000 units of vehicle production units due to coronavirus shuttering plants through February 10th. In 24 provinces, China has told businesses not to resume work before February 10th. Then I showed this one right here. 400 million people are on lockdown. Hello, Mr. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, how do we not have any signs of supply chain problems? 500 million people are locked down in China right now. That's not a supply chain problem. That was on Tuesday. This was from this morning. This was on Tuesday from CNBC. On Wednesday, so this is even still before Steve Mnuchin was asked, and when he said we haven't seen any supply chain issues. So on Wednesday, global shipping has been hit by the coronavirus. Goods are getting stranded. So this article is talking about the fact that global shipping is getting a slowdown, and also air cargo is disrupted, right? And these are just 2 examples. And Mike and I have been talking about this since January 20th. Low blood pressure, give me a call back. I turned my phone upside down, but I am kind of a little bit lonely here. But give me a call, and I'll see who I can. I'll see if I can take that call. So go ahead and give me a call, and I'll answer this time. That was topic number 2, though. Topic number 1 was the test kits are going out, but the CDC is woefully behind the curve on this. They're very unprepared for this, and they have not enough supplies at all whatsoever. And so much for American First, because half of the test kits aren't even staying here in the United States. Topic 2 was Steve Mnuchin. We don't see any signs of any supply chain issues. If that's just not a flat-out lie. And it's being dishonest to the American people is what it is. And, I think that, we not need to say, this is no big deal, don't worry about it. No, we need to be saying that there's going to be some issues and we need to be preparing for that accordingly. That's the right thing that I think that should be done. Give me a call. Phone lines are open. And like I said, I was going to do the phones after every topic. So I've hit those 2 topics here. And so someone wants to chime in, give me a call, and I'll be glad to talk about it online here. Moving on to the final topic. I will just see real quick if CDC. Well, see if they've updated their site. Okay, we got a call. So let me see if I can take this. Okay, and they have updated it. We'll set that up. Okay, give me a call. I see the calls coming in. So give me a call. I just missed that one, but give me one. I got the phone in my hand. Here we go. Hello, caller. This is Silver Doctors live on air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello, caller. This is Silver Doctors. You're live on air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Tom from Central Illinois.
Hey, how's it going, Tom from Central Illinois? What you got on your mind today?
I got a question. It appears that the people who are dying from the virus, nCoV virus, are dying because of pneumonia. Is that true?
That is what Chris Martenson was reporting on actually yesterday in his update. That is one of the most serious complications that is coming out of this, according to the update that I watched from him. And the interesting thing about this, and the thing that is kind of concerning, is it can take weeks for this to set on. He was going over a case study, and it took I think 3 weeks from the time that the person was admitted into the hospital until the time that they actually died of pneumonia. So yeah, that's one of the complications that comes out of this. And is what we were talking about the other day. All you can do is, that's the CDC's guidance. All you can do is give supportive care, which is oxygen, which would be in the case of the pneumonia, right? Or antibiotics in the case of pneumonia sometimes. Also, IVs to keep people hydrated, things like that. So yes, pneumonia is in fact a complication of this.
Okay, my second question is getting the pneumonia vaccine. I think there's vaccines out there. Would that help?
Ooh, good question. That's above my pay grade. Like I said, it's been 20 years since I worked on the national immunization hotline, and I'm just not a proponent. The more I learn of vaccines, the more I learn, and the more I've been injected since my time in the Army. My vaccine history is pages and pages and pages long. So I'm not going to say a person should or shouldn't get a vaccine one way or another. I don't have any specific information about that, Tom.
Yeah, I'm not a fond of vaccines either, but in this case, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
If it helps.
Yeah.
So,
So it's a good point there. It's a good point there, and I appreciate you giving us a call in today.
Have a great day.
Great. You too. Thanks. Not even sure if I hung up. But anyway, caller, we got the phone lines open. Open phone lines, I guess, for Friday. Give me a call, and let's see here. Yeah, I got phone lines open, so give me a call. I got one more topic to hit on, and as we get a phone call, we'll go over it. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Here we got a call. Hello, caller. This is Silver Doctors Live. You're live on there. What's your name and where are you calling from?
All right, Paul, I got through. This is low blood pressure, Corpus Christi, Texas. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, low blood pressure? It's good to talk to you.
All right, it was just kind of weird. It went to like an answering machine and said press 2 to connect call. It was just kind of giving me hell, the phone.
Oh yeah, and this is my first time doing these phone calls, so I kind of stumbling my way through it a little bit. What's on your mind today, low blood pressure?
Okay, I wanted to say just 2 things. One thing, this Wuhan virus, this is manufactured, and I would even go as far as to say it was planted there by a government, not China, or maybe China. I don't know, but that was put there on purpose. That's what I believe. What do you think about that? And then I got one more point.
Yeah, biological weapons. There's basically 3 scenarios, right? There's this is naturally and something that's cross species that the mainstream media and the propagandists are trying to tell us. There's 2 other scenarios though, and the other 2 scenarios are that this is man-made. So, if it's man-made, then A, it was unleashed on purpose, or B, it accidentally got out. So, hey, as far as the odds go, I think that it's man-made because there's a 66% chance that it is, according to my math. And I'm not really a mathematician, but that seems kind of simple to me.
Yeah, I would say 100%, but I'm crazy like that. Another thing I want to talk to you about your favorite topic, hyperinflation, okay?
Okay.
All right. This stock market, I don't think it's ever going down. I know you think it is, but I think it's just because there's too much money. Right now, there's trillions and trillions hidden everywhere. There's hundreds of trillions of dollars everywhere. So I think it's just going to get hyperinflated because there's no way the stock market could go down with so much money sloshing around. That money always has to find a home. and it's not going to be in people's bank account. So I think this is a crack-up boom to infinity. Venezuela, here we come, I say.
Yeah. Very well could be that crack-up boom. So this is going to be interesting to see. We disagree on that because I think that there has to be a crisis first, and I also think that they're going to bring it down to just completely, crush the pension system and the retirement system and just really bring America to its knees. Because if they're trying to end the American empire, you got to bring the American empire to its knees so it can no longer function. And what a better way than just devastate the pensions and the retirement systems, right?
Yeah, I think everything is going to get devastated, like you say, but it's not going to be because of the crash. It's going to be devastated through hyperinflation. Because you got all your money in a pension, but a cup of coffee is $500, so that's it. It's gone. So that's what I think.
Yep. Great points, low blood pressure. It's good to meet you. It's good to talk to you. And we got Mike chiming in now, so he's about to come on the line. So give us a call on Monday when we go live, and we'll be grateful to hear from you again.
All right. Thank you for taking my call.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello?
How you doing?
Hey, Mike. I finally got Mike, right?
Yes.
Hey, I got my co-host live from an undisclosed area in Area 52 again. I hope they don't have you quarantined off of some cruise ship in New Jersey, Mike.
You're really doing it. Hold it down. How's it going?
It's going good. We got crazy stuff going on, Mike. They just released they're starting to ship out the test kits, and that's not a good thing at all, because they can only test 0.05% of the entire population if they wanted to. So, the question that I threw out, Mike, is it better to just kind of pretend that there's no problems, that everything is okay, or should, the government and the CDC and, the Treasury and the President, should we actually be saying, hey, we need to kind of take this seriously and prepare for this a little bit? So that's the question that I posed to everybody at the beginning of today's live stream.
Well, my first thought is, not sending out a small percentage will not do anything whatsoever. But I think it's more so just I wouldn't want to say a media stunt on their part to say that they're at least trying to ramp things up. And so I'm not surprised that they're attempting to do that. But once again, if this is a global pandemic soon-to-be type of event, those test kits will do absolutely nothing. And then on top of that, as I mentioned, I think last week, about hearing information that whatever they're testing for, they don't really have the right equipment or the actual know-how to do such. And so once again, it won't be effective. So once again, I think it's a media stunt to say they're trying to do something. But I think that sending out 0.05 you said, that wouldn't even cover a small city, I don't think.
Yeah, it wouldn't. They literally can test 150,000 specimens. That's it. And that's if everything goes smoothly, right? What if they, accidentally have to test, what if they mess up a test and botch a test? Or if they have to test somebody 2 times? Or if one of the test tubes or vials are defective or something? This is like what I said earlier, this is too little, too late. It's already becoming a serious problem, especially when you see stuff like 400 million Chinese are on lockdown right now. I mean, this is once this hits our shores, this is not good. And then the other thing that I talked about, I got 3 points today, Mike. The other one was Steve Mnuchin. He's out there saying we don't see any supply chain issues whatsoever.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, China's shut down completely. You don't see supply chain issues?
Yep.
I'd imagine there's a lot of unfulfilled orders that's going to be presenting themselves in the next couple of weeks or months, give or take, that's probably been ordered right now. So how could you not see a disruption? But once again, they have to keep everything looking good. So another question for you is, has Trump been tweeting at all saying how good of a economy we have? I haven't been paying attention to his Twitter storm.
Well, he possibly did after today's jobs report, because in January of 2020, so just last month, 225,000 jobs, Mike. We smashed and crushed all expectations. It's a booming economy. So I'm sure he has since then, but I didn't follow it. But I do have some tweets that is topic 3 that we really need to talk about, because it's about the Wuhan coronavirus, and it's just fresh off the presses. You ready for this?
All right, go ahead. What you got?
Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
I can. It's behind, but I can't see it yet.
Okay. But anyway, so I'm just going to read this tweet. I'm going to read the whole thing, and then I'm going to read it where we're going to go through a couple of the parts. So it's actually 2 tweets, and I'm just going to read both tweets really quickly, and then we're going to pick it apart here. This is important. And this is from just this morning at 5:31 a.m. So this is President Trump. This is the very first time he's tweeted about this coronavirus ever since January 31st. So here we go. You ready for me to read these? Oh, yeah, and everybody who's tuning in, I forget to do this. I'm going to check in with the chat in a second here, but smash that thumbs up button because they're coming down hard on us, and they're really trying to censor our voices now, Mike. Here come these Trump tweets. You ready for them? Here we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just had a long and very good conversation by phone with President Xi of China. He is strong, sharp, and powerfully focused on the counterattack of the coronavirus. He feels they are doing very well, even building hospitals in a matter of only days. Nothing is easy, but he will be successful, especially as the weather starts to warm and the virus hopefully becomes weaker and then gone. Great discipline is taking place in China as President Xi strongly leads what will be a very successful operation. We are working closely with China to help. Mike, there are so many problems. That's why I posed that question, and I'll do it again. This is not the right angle we need to be taking. So let me just pick this apart for a second, okay, Mike?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And it's the second one that I want to pick apart. So first of all, he will be successful, especially as the weather starts to warm and the virus hopefully becomes weaker. Mike, we haven't even peaked in the number of cases, and we're a long way off from the weather becoming warm. And then so that the virus just completely disappears, that's not how viruses work. It's not just going to fade out of humanity by springtime, Mike.
It's more likely to spread as more people look to try to get out of the winter and get outside and get interacting with more people. So, and that's also spring is I think 40, maybe 40 days, give or take. So between now and that time, I would imagine we're going to possibly see more cases here to where it doesn't really matter what he has his own concern with. We have millions of people impacted right now. We could have dozens or hundreds. Hopefully, God forbid we do, but we could easily have hundreds, if not thousands, on this side by spring, unless it's brought to a halt or whatever they plan on doing with it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's absolutely right. And there's news coming out this morning about a ship that's pulled up in some port or docking area in New Jersey that is a cruise ship, another cruise ship, and they're quarantining people on that ship. I haven't looked into it, but could you imagine that, being quarantined on a cruise ship, and then the number of cases are rising on some of these cruise ships where they have quarantined individuals? This is just a mess all the way around.
So here's my question. So these cruise ships that are being quarantined or they're being self-quarantined, are they coming from? Are they coming from Asia, or are they just coming from anything coming into this country? They automatically put a self-quarantine on, from what you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but I could imagine that a lot of what we have going on here are possibly Chinese that were taking vacations during the Lunar New Year, possibly. So maybe they were on these cruise ships before the Lunar New Year or something. So I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but I'm going to start looking into the cruise ships a little bit more because there's something interesting there either way.
Yeah, I would agree, definitely. So, So as of right now, with the U.S. really not having a control on this or even really knowing what's going on, by the time spring hits, if there's nothing that's provided that's solid, we could be facing even a much more dangerous crisis than what China's experiencing, because it's going to be hard to self-contain people feel like they're being held in their own quote-unquote FEMA camps, and people ain't gonna sit around and just, stay in the house all day and not actually want to get out and interact with other people. So it's gonna be hard to quarantine people here and shut down cities. And what's this? As an extreme case now, if it becomes an issue into spring, could you see like the National Guard, the military on the streets, or something in the interest of national security to help control major metropolitan cities? That this be used as one of the ways to put boots on the ground in the streets to quote unquote help out?
Oh, Mike, you just opened up a huge can of worms right there. You're not going down the martial law rabbit hole just yet, are you, Mike?
You know, at this point, there can be any conditions that can be thrown out, and it can be quote unquote justified as being something that's in the best interest of our country to help people, the elderly and everybody else. We have to bring in people to quarantine cities, and so I could see this being a part of this of their plan. But was originally part of the plan, but now it's easy to roll out because more people will accept it because of this, virus situation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's absolutely right. And remember, it's one of those threats that you can't see. So, wow, this isn't a good development. And you bring up a great point. We're going to have to start looking into that and see where that leads. That's a great point right there. Mike, I want to. Oh, we need to finish picking apart this Trump tweet real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Great. This is just kind of scary, Mike. Great discipline is taking place in China as President Xi strongly leads what will be a very successful operation. And that just kind of goes off of what you just hit on, right? An operation, like what? Like a military operation? Like what kind of operation are they talking about? That's some spooky stuff right there. Now, that's not what I want to pick apart, though. What I want to pick apart is this.
Okay.
We are working closely with China to help. Now think about this, Mike. And I don't think I prepared this that one article that I did. But remember, we are working very closely. I put up an article the other day where the state of Hawaii they dropped off a plane to go under quarantine in the state of Hawaii without any prior notice whatsoever, right? And supposedly there's a national task force. The White House has created a coronavirus task force. So what I don't understand is how are you working very closely with China, but you just unloaded a plane that you got to quarantine in the state of Hawaii with no prior notice? I mean, why don't you work very closely with the United States and with the states? Do you see what I'm saying, Mike?
Yeah. Oh, man. Once again, this tweet, as I was reading it on the screen, as you was reading it as well, it doesn't even look like it's from Trump himself. And so I was always questioning, how can someone be so active on the Twitter scene and be the president and be a business mogul, all that other stuff he's at once. And so that tweet itself looks like it was hand-scripted and prepared and probably even passed over from President Xi. He forwarded it to him, and Trump just copied and pasted it and tweeted it out as if it was his. Because, once again, it's a successful operation. And I actually saw something on alternative media scene where apparently President Xi has been nowhere to be found. Like he's in a bunker or something. I don't know where they were going with that, but it's good to say President Xi actively helping and doing things with, they have literally the military and whoever else out in the streets. And what's the point of building a hospital in a major metropolitan area that is already vacant? And if everybody's already, the streets are empty, why are you building a hospital? As if people are going to sort of come outside now and you're going to transfer thousands of people over that are sick to that hospital. So I hear this narrative of we're trying to get this solved, but yet, are they really? Yeah. At the time that everything else is crumbling, are they really?
Yeah. Great points. And then just a little friendly reminder from President Trump. This tweet, do you remember this tweet, Mike? My only question is, who is our bigger enemy, Jay Powell or Chairman Xi?
Oh, my goodness. So, see, and that's the thing, like, with all these tweets, so I would probably label you as a Twitter analysis expert because you do a good job of breaking it down to the details, being able to go back. And this was back in August before this whole trade one phase deal was even in the works. And it shows that at that point, China was our enemy. Now they apparently came to some agreements with us. Now they're good buddies with us now. Mm-hmm. Once again, it's a media stunt all the way. And so what disappoints me the most is that been seeing these narratives of, I won't say outright lies, but misinformation doesn't give me more confidence in my government that they're doing the right thing at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. Those are all great points and well said. So I think that, this is a very bad disservice. This is a disservice to the American people. This is something that is not being handled well. I've been calling it a boondoggle. I've been calling it, what did I call it yesterday? I can't remember. I called it I just said they're botching their response. The government's botching the response to this coronavirus outbreak, and that's exactly what we see.
January 7th, so
Yep.
we got a whole other month ahead of us.
Yep. Now, Mike, I want you to put on some tinfoil for a second, okay?
All right, I just went and bought one yesterday. I got it right here. Here you go.
It looks good. The viewers are going to love that look. Okay, now, Mike, this is and I don't even think that he was reaching out to me in a tinfoil hat kind of way, but that's just kind of the way that I thought about it. But this is an email that we got at news@silverdoctors.com. And this is from somebody who watches the show and is probably tuning in right now. So I'm just not going to say like the specific details about who it is or where he's from or stuff like that, but I do want to talk about this, and I want to read this. Listen to this. You ready, Mike? So this is an email. My wife and I have several kids, and I'm a computer desktop technician. Second shift for a hospital in my state. He said his state. I just said my state. I have been in the computer department at the hospital for 23 years and at another hospital for 3 years. I started 26 years ago as a computer operator on IBM mainframes and subsequently worked on the IT help desk for many years. To the desktop technician position I'm currently in now. Basically, I install, troubleshoot, and fix laptops and desktops. I mentioned my 26 years hospital experience because I assume that you saw the news that the whistleblower, Dr. Li Wenliang from Wuhan, just died. He's the one that they were showing kind of up close and they interviewed. What gets me about this story is that hospital employees take care of their own. Most especially, we can assume that doctors really get the best possible care. And yet he died. And he was only 34 years old and reportedly in good health. And to add to this, the two people so far from outside of China who have died, one in their 30s, one in their 40s, this is not good at all. I'm thinking this is much worse than what's being reported by China and what's in the mainstream. So that's the email. Those are the comments. That's great. I appreciate him for reaching out to us. So this doctor, there's a couple of things why I wanted to put on my tinfoil hat with this, because I don't know if you're following this case. I'm not following exactly what he said when he blew the whistle. But when he died, at first they reported that he died, and then they said, no, he didn't die, and then they said he was in critical condition, and now they said, yes, he actually did die. Have you heard about that, Doctor?
I saw some pictures, but didn't get a chance to dive in further. So as you speak, I pulled some stuff up, and it says, and then CNN quoted him on the Force as saying, it says this Chinese doctor tried to save lives, but was silenced, and now he is coronavirus. Now he has coronavirus. So just off of CNN coming out sharing what they think is going on, it looks like this is a big cover up because he was possibly not necessarily came down with the virus, but probably was just taken out outright. If he was trying to say that this was some type of man-made or the government was behind this, because once again, I don't think it's a natural case on his part if that was the case. So it looks like he was trying to, make it that this was probably something that was body, and
Here's something to think about, though. Here's something to think about, and to put it into this context. Here's an article from this morning from Zero Hedge. 7:24 this morning. This is why I put my tinfoil hat on and why I think that he wasn't even expecting me to take it to this angle. But citizen journalists who exposed Beijing's lies in Wuhan have suddenly vanished. Vanished. Disappeared. Disappeared. I don't know if you've ever read 1984 where they go, Syme, he knows too much, he sees too much, and he speaks too plainly or something like that. So, that's why I was thinking about that doctor guy, because there's sketchy details about when he actually died, and now there's other reports of other people that are blowing whistles and trying to cover this, what's actually going on, and they're just disappearing, Mike.
Yeah, so I see the article, and so you have a doctor who dies after becoming after being labeled a whistleblower, and then you have journalists disappearing. So either the Wuhan is mutated even further to where it's like causing people to vanish outright, or there's something much bigger. And I would go with the fact there's something much bigger that we're not hearing about. So, hopefully the truth will come out sooner or later. But yet, will it be too late?
That's right. I think it will be too late. And it's, because, this thing's let out, right? What's the phrase? The cat's let out of the bag. So the cat has definitely been let out of the bag here. And it's just a matter of time. It's like, I remember sometimes I'll be like, sitting on the lake, fishing, just, throwing a line out into the water and just trying to relax a little bit because Lord knows I never catch any fish. But then all of a sudden you kind of see some thunderstorms brewing in the distance, and you realize that it's about to start raining and storming. And then you can see the water coming all the way across the lake, and you're like, oh crap, here it comes. Then all of a sudden you're in the middle of a thunderstorm. That's what's coming, Mike. We're about to have a viral thunderstorm hitting the shores of the United States. And think about this, right? It's on the East Coast, it's on the West Coast, and it's in the Midwest, right? It's going to start spreading everywhere.
Yeah, so with that being the case, if that is something we should expect, and so that right there is something that will cause people to self-quarantine themselves, therefore, there will definitely be a definite stall/halt of all economic commerce type trade in the U.S. Therefore, can you say no? Will the stock market continue to go up even if no one's going to work or buying anything?
Yeah, so low blood pressure called in before you, and he said it's going to keep going up, so don't worry about that. It'll keep going up, so. Well, I guess we're going to, wow, we went for an hour today, so I guess we need to get ready to dial it back here, but there's just so much information, and it's interesting, and it's weird, and I don't really understand what's going on because, so many people are looking for the information. That's what I'm getting out of this ever since that we've been covering this since January 20th. People have been writing us more. People have been subscribing to our channel. People have been calling in. People have questions. Here's the problem with it, and I'm going to go back to that original question that I put out at the very beginning, which is, what's better, to pretend that everything's okay or to warn and prepare the public? Because, people want to know what's going on. They want answers. And all that they're getting from the official sources are, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Everything's under control. There's nothing to worry about. The risk is very low. So, that's just why we got to keep sticking on this Wuhan coronavirus, because it's very important and there's a lack of information out there and people need to be able to find it.
Yeah, now watch this. Let me throw a question out to you real quick. So, as we see this develop and it becomes more of a health scare, and by just nature, people will remove themselves from the outright public, from their workforce and everything of that nature. We talked about on Wednesday, what time is enough time to pull your child from school and probably call in and work from home if you can. And so would that mean that you're supposed to put all your plans on halt and concerns of your health? Or do you say, hey, I'm not really going to, remove myself from life. I'm still going to enjoy my life, but just be a little bit more cautious. Like, what's that fine line of preparation? Complete isolation, or just doing something?
Yes.
In the future.
Yes, and Mike, and it's much worse than that, because in Chris Martinson's update yesterday, one of the things he was talking about was just how long this when you're infected with this, how long it draws out, right? Like, people that are dying in the hospital, they were in the hospital for 3 weeks, right? People who are sick with this stuff, they're sick with this stuff for like 2 weeks, Mike. So, and we're talking about like really, really sick, right? Like, you're like in the bed and you got fatigue and you got no strength and you're like practically dying. You're like just one step from not being able to get to the hospital. But the point is that, going off of that, this is something that, can people afford to take a month off of not working if they become sick? Can they afford a month in a hospital? I mean, these are issues, right? These are real issues.
Yeah. Yeah, according to all the data and stats that have been given about people not having enough, savings or people to check, and so that's how our country promotes it. Once again, credit card default's going to escalate, and all types of mortgages going to be in default. So, okay. You see where this is at. You see where this is going.
Yep. We do see where it's going. So, and William Middlecoop, he's one of the guys we interview quite regularly on Twitter. Today, he said some people that he knows in Hong Kong, they're just going out to the Philippines, and they're just going to lay low for a few weeks. Vacation is basically what they put it. But these are probably people of substantial means who can afford to do this, right? But your average person on the street, man, if they got to like not go to work or just flat out lose their jobs, right? Because if people aren't going out and about, then, the retail apocalypse that we talk about, man, it's going to kick into full speed ahead.
Yeah, I agree. So we're going to have something more to talk about next week, my friend.
Yep, we will, Mike. It's good to hear from you. I think I know what the problem was, and it's just a setting on the back end that I'll get you to help me with, where I hear you and then it causes an echo in my audio in my ears or something like that. So it's a setting that I haven't got configured right, but we're getting to it. I was able to pull the trigger and get us going live here today, so that's good, and I'm glad we were able to connect with you. Any last thoughts that you have for the viewers and listeners today, Mike?
Despite all the bad news, despite what's going on, be of good cheer. Don't let this completely ruin your day, ruin your life, because once again, I have to go back to the spiritual elements of things. If you are a believer in Christ, I believe Christ was well aware of what's going on. Therefore, do not fear. Stay prayed up and enjoy this life that you have, because it is a blessing while we still have it. So have a great weekend. See you guys on Monday.
Yep, great. That sounds great, Mike. And I'm just going to sign it off right here. I think you're absolutely right, because that is, all we can do. All we can do is just prepare for this and just be able to take it in strides and take it as it comes. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in today. I know it's been hard. I wanted to go and come live anyway, because I feel that these three topics, the CDC releasing their test kit, Steve Mnuchin saying he doesn't see any supply chain issues, and President Trump saying we're working closely with China and that it's all under control. These are very big issues, and in my opinion, it's a disservice to the American people, the way that they're downplaying the threats and the actual risks. And I'm saying that based on my experience from working under contract for both the CDC and for the National Institutes of Health. So anyway, we will be back on Monday as usual. Be blessed, be safe, and as Mike would say, peace.